So this video series is about our trip from Fort Pierce, Florida to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And so far we have shown you Mike arriving in Florida to our catamaran, and on day one going from Fort Pierce to Cocoa Beach, which basically involved leaving the marina officially, heading through some bridges, and then checking out the ICW while cruising by motor. And then on day two, the progress was to go from Cocoa Beach to Daytona Beach. And so that really involved a lot of the same thing, very glassy conditions, so motoring along, and then some interesting terrain along the ICW, as well as several additional bridges that had to be crossed, which seems like the theme of the ICW. So day three was going from Daytona Beach to St. Augustine, and there was more motoring along the ICW, very calm day, doing some repairs on the boat, and then actually arriving at the docks in St. Augustine and getting to go off the boat to enjoy some land time. Day four was actually leaving the ICW and going out on the ocean as they entered into Georgia. And here you can see some repairs and also getting the sails up for the first time on the ocean, which is great. And then the next day was very different. Day five through Georgia was a very rough day, lots of rough weather and difficult conditions for the boat and for the crew who weren't necessarily as used to the rough conditions. Day six was all about the ICW going through Georgia, so that was mainly you letting other people finally drive at the helm, so got a few different people there, and then getting the sails up out on some stretches of the ICW where there was some opening to do so. And on day seven, you actually got back out on the ocean from Georgia to Beaufort, South Carolina. And I see here you've got the sails up.
Yeah, it looks like I'm shortening sail there, but yeah, we managed to have them out much of the time, as long as the wind was not totally dead.
But it looked like there wasn't a ton of wind that day.
Well, this is why we're throwing it in right now. But yeah, so
it looks like your crew got pretty good at helping with the different jobs for sailing.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's not a whole lot to it once you get used to it. The way boats are designed these days, honestly, it's just you can single hand them without too much trouble. So when you've got a whole bunch of extra hands, it's certainly it makes it a very easy job.
So here you were packing up the mainsail because the wind just wasn't strong enough?
Yeah, I suspect that's the case. I can't remember exactly, but it looks like we're putting it back in its bag, so we didn't have the main open as often because it does have a lot of overhead as far as pulling it up and taking it down goes.
So now you're on your way to Beaufort, South Carolina, and looks like you'll be getting off the boat when you get there to tour around a little bit.
We made it to Beaufort. I think we're in South Carolina. They call it Beaufort. It's spelled Beaufort, but I guess they say it a little differently here. We had a great day of sailing today out on the ocean. It was really nice. It was great weather, very pleasant. And now we get to go and relax and check out the town. I'm going to go meet up with the other guys now that I'm all done checking my lines and tying everything off. Nice little marina here. There you go.
This is one of the places, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, but look, it's so symmetrical, eh?
It's
like it's privately owned, eh?
Yeah, those are actual gas lamps, eh?
So this is William Fripp House, Tidewater, built by planter Good Billy Fripp, known for his generosity and one of the area's wealthiest 19th century planters.
I'm just impressed at how beautiful this town is.
Yeah, it's a pretty historic area, and the size of some of these places, at least close to the waterfront, is on a pretty epic scale.
So is this all pretty close to where the marina was?
Yeah, a few minutes walk away from the marina in the downtown areas where you start running into these places. I mean, there's a lot of history in this area, and the places are absolutely beautiful and enormous. At the same time, you kind of wonder at the history of it, and it also makes you think back to where they came from and why they were built and how they were built. A lot of the older ones are result of wealth from plantations, and of course that was driven by slavery in the South.
It looks like Chris had a little tour book that he was reading while going through this walk.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a historical kind of description of a lot of these older plantation houses.
Cool. So just looking around, it just seems like there's a lot of history and a lot of really cool sites for you guys to check out within walking distance from the boat.
Absolutely. Yeah, beautiful trees, amazing buildings, and just a lot to absorb. Especially wonderful to have it in walking distance of that marina, for sure.
And now that it's getting dark, I see that you're missing 2 of your crew, so I think they're back at the boat making dinner, and time for you guys to go have supper.
Cheese. You must have cheese, Michael.
Cheese.
Must have cheese. I wouldn't dream of not having cheese. Cheese is coming, gentlemen. Fresh not.
Fear not for the coming of the cheese.